All right, now we go on to my list.
Are we?
Yes. Saving you for last, girl. Very different from last year. But I'll just get right into it. My number 10 is
Brother Bear for the PS2.
My number 10 is Bully. Bully is a game that I spent a lot, like so much time with that whenever I played a video game, my mom would ask, "You playing that Bully game?"
My mom said that a couple times.
It's beginning.
It's SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Bully was. It just came out at a great time of, especially. It was always a weird thing whenever I would play Grand Theft Auto. My mom was like, "I know what this game is.
It's Bully,
and I'm not very happy about you playing this game." So it was perfect that we got a younger version of Grand Theft Auto basically, and going through this world and like just seeing like all these fucked up people, not only from like the dropout area, but like all these fucked up rich people, and it felt very much like a parody of what like the Midwest is.
Yeah.
And growing up in the Midwest, I was like, yeah, really. Like all of the funny side missions, of getting the panties for the gym teacher, right? It's like one of the most memorable moments from that game.
Yeah.
And then doing stuff to help out your English teacher and your art teacher, and you think that like the art teacher like likes you, and so you're doing all this shit with her for her because you think that you guys are gonna go out on a date.
Yeah.
And it's like just seeing that like just total Jimmy not understanding like what she was getting into. It was just fucking funny, and the way you just could shape your Jimmy, right?
Jimmy just being like, this boy gotta.
Nut.
Like I would always, go to like the greaser part of town to go get like the punk and like greaser clothes, and
Yeah, that was my favorite thing, was just like going around to the different
shaping
shops
Jimmy,
and like kind of making him into your version of it.
exactly.
You should have seen the costume I had for Jimmy when I was playing
Oh
it.
God.
You remember it?
No, I don't.
What was it?
I had a top hat and the tuxedo dress shirt, and then just swimming, and then just like the Speedo and no shoes, just running around on the skateboard.
Right.
Yeah, that was just. It was a game I could play over and over and over again, and I'm actually happy to go back to it soon. I got a bad taste of it in my mouth last year when we tried to do Let's Plays of it, and really it wasn't even like the game itself. It was because we lost so much footage of that game that it was just like fuck this game, just god damn it. So I'm excited to go back to it for the PS4. So
Yeah.
I really love Bully. My number 9. Henry's gonna hate me for this. Fallout 4. And
Favorite game of all time.
Number 9. And I know like it's a recent game, and but
You
I
really got into it though.
Yeah, Fallout 4 did to me what Skyrim and Fallout 3 did to you and Annie. And that was the cool thing, is like it improved everything that I wanted. Like I didn't want it to be like this huge like new fucking changing video games like again, that's what Fallout 3 did. And I feel like everybody was expecting Fallout 4 to like change the game again, which I think was a total like, you guys set yourself up for being disappointed. But I had my expectations at like the right, like all I want was improved gunplay, improved VATS, and a better looking game. And Fallout 4 was that. And I even got like a better story out of it. Fallout 3, it's like, oh, hey, your dad left the vault, and, now everybody's mad at you, even though you didn't do anything, but your dad, he fucked up. And I never really felt in Fallout 3 like, oh, so, I'm getting banned from the vault because my dad did something. Like, that's sort of fucked up, right? And so I never felt the incentive to go out and look for him. The only feeling I had was like, the only reason I want to like look for him is like kill him because he's sort of a piece of shit,
Yeah.
But Fallout 4 was really great of like you have this kid and someone fucking kidnaps your kid, and like that's something that's like, no, like I'm responsible for that child. Like I have to like take care of him. And like the twist that happens in that game, which was a twist that almost everybody expected. But it was so cool, and the way you got to learn like the stories of all of these factions, and then at the end you have to pick one of them, and you have to like fuck up all of these other factions that you might have like grown to like learn about and like care for these characters. And it was a really like that game really picked at your morals and like who you stand with. And I just thought that was it was so good.
I was happy to see how much it affected
I
you.
really don't understand like Henry is being a piece of shit because he hates Fallout 4. I don't really
I don't think you
understand the hate for it.
should hate it, but
I can understand if it's not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
I can totally understand that. Fallout 3 was not my cup of tea. But you know what? Fallout 4, I think, I don't know if it's an improvement on the series, but it was catered to something I was looking for.
But you also get Nick Valentine.
And Nick Valentine is like one of my favorite fictional characters.
Yeah.
You know, and he was just like, he made that like a buddy like cop game, and it was so fucking cool, and I'm really excited to go back. Like I just
was
today
looking at it the
Far
other day.
Harbor is coming out on May 19th. They just announced that date today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh fuck, I get to go back to Fallout, and I'm like really excited for that.
Yeah.
Am I into it to the point where like I want to platinum it? No, fuck that. I'm not into platinuming shit, but
Yeah.
like I spent so much time, and I was so dedicated. Like I lost my save file, and I was like a really good portion into the game, and I was like really bummed, but I was like, you know what, I can like improve all of this shit again. And like Fallout 4 did to me what no other like big RPG has ever done to me. So yeah. that's why I made it to my top 10.
Yeah, I've been like debating on replaying it again, but I'm borrowing Ratchet and Clank from him now, so I'm gonna finally play that.
It's good. My number 8, Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception.
I knew this was gonna be on
Oh,
there.
the only way it was on my top 10. This was the game that I forgot about until I finally
That's Chloe's ass.
I finished it the other day. Like we recorded our our 10 episodes of Let's Plays that we did for it, but I like continued on that save and kept going on through that game, and it is the fucking pinnacle of Uncharted games. A lot of people are like, no, Uncharted 2 is the best. I'm like, yeah, maybe at a graphic standpoint, yeah, it's a big jump from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2, but like the gameplay sort of feels the same in all three of them, to me at least, and the story I think is way more interesting in Uncharted 3. Like Uncharted 1 is it's loose on the story, and that's fine. It's like the first game in the series, you know?
Actually, I just remembered why people didn't like Uncharted 3 as much when it first came out.
What?
Was they changed how the gun controls work.
And they patched it.
Well,
So,
yeah, but
it's
it's
the
like
same-
when the game first comes out,
That's
that's when the
true.
reviews come out.
That's
Um,
what happened with Mass Effect 3. It wasn't even about the ending yet. That why people didn't like it. It was because of how much they changed the gameplay.
But I like they have the patch version in the Nathan Drake collection, so like the gunplay in all three of them feel like very very similar.
And that's why Uncharted Drake's Fortune is way better on the
PS4
collection.
Yeah.
Because they no longer have like you have to use the 6-axis to aim a grenade, which no one likes 6-axis controls and no one ever has.
And it's like it was just like I think it was the crescendo of the series is Uncharted 3, and because a lot of people like to they have rose tinted glasses I think for Uncharted 2 because the building like all the set pieces that they have, like the falling hotel part and the train sequence, and those are great, but I think the set pieces in 3 are bigger and fucking better, because I was playing through Uncharted 2 and I was like, oh wow, like this is crazy, blah blah blah. But Uncharted 3, I felt those parts were spoilers for Uncharted 3. It came out 5 years ago, so but I can understand if you haven't played it yet because you like owned a 360 and couldn't get it on PS3. But if you own a PS4, get the Nathan Drake collection. It's fucking awesome.
Would you keep it?
Oh, I'm keeping it. And that's the thing, when I think I like did my reviews of them when we did a show called Quick Reviews, which has since been canceled. When I reviewed 3, I was debating on like just selling this, but then I played 3 and I was like, it was 3 alone that like
Made you
no,
wanna
I'm
do
keeping
it.
this. And
Brought it all together.
because it was like it was a great buddy story of the relationship between Sully and Nate, and that's something that I always wanted those games to explore, like when I was playing through them, and they finally fucking did it, and I was like, fuck yes. You get to like go back to like when they first met, and there's like this scene in the beginning where they get shot and it looks like they're dead, and you're like, fuck, like that sucks. And when Sully gets kidnapped and you're in the middle of the desert trying to find your fucking friend, and they go into like sort of Nate's addiction to
heroin,
wanting to like find these, but for like what reason? Why does he want to find these
Yeah.
things? Like they keep asking him throughout that game is like, to what end? Like, what are you doing this for? Like, you know where it is. Why isn't that enough? And he never gives an answer, and I think that's really fucking interesting. I hope to God they explore that more in Uncharted 4. And it sounds like they are. It sounds like they like Uncharted 3 was sort of like a little like tiptoe into this direction, and I feel like Neil Druckmann saw that and he was like, all right, we're focusing on like this aspect of his character. And I just think it's, and also going back to the set piece, the fucking plane, dude. Oh my god. Like there's a similar scene in Battlefield Bad Company 2 at the very end where
why do these games always pop up somehow?
Battlefield Bad Company 2 was going to be on my honorable mentions.
wasn't
I only ever played the first one.
the second one's okay.
I love the second one.
It's way more linear than the first one.
Definitely.
But there's a similar ending where you're falling out of a plane and whatnot. But like, I didn't really feel that. Like when fucking he's trying to grab onto shit, I'm on the ride with him, and it was
Yeah.
just so.
He was just actually like
immersive.
really high when he was playing it, so it was just like, whoa,
Yeah, no,
whoa.
it's one of those.
And all of like the shit that happens when you're climbing and things fall, and like I felt those, and like
Yeah.
I hadn't felt that before in those games, and there was just something that clicked in Uncharted 3. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
fuck yes. And I was thinking about it, like, I don't think it's ever gonna happen, but if they decided to do an Uncharted movie, I think it would actually be perfect to not do the stories from the first two, but actually do the story from the third one. I think that story can actually stand on its own and not have like put in hints of like context from like the first two or whatever, and you'd have to change some things, some jokes or whatever. But I think that story would be so good to like, if you wanted to make a good movie where on Uncharted you can't focus on great gameplay or anything, you only have to focus on the story. I think that's the best one to grab story cues from, you know. So that's my number 8. My number 7, something that'll make Henry happy and make up putting Fallout 4 on my top 10.
Sneak King.
My number 7 is Sneak King. No, my number 7 is Undertale.
You like briefly convinced them you were telling the truth.
Undertale. I don't want to say much because I think you really just need to play that game because it's so the things I will say about it. It's so charming. The battle system is really addicting almost, you know, and a lot of people are saying like, oh, you should bring this to consoles, but I honestly don't understand like how that would work, like the controls of like the fighting mechanics.
I could see it working on like I really want like a 3DS version of it.
And it's so, that game is so charming and so immersive. And I will say this. Journey, at the end of Journey, a lot of people talk about like the first time they played Journey and they cried or whatever.
As soon as the solo started and Don't Stop Believing, I
I teared up at the end of Journey.
Journey sucks. Not the game.
Because when the lights...
And, you know,
No.
the first time I played through Undertale, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cute. It only took about 6 hours, whatever. And I did the first time I played through it, it was the sort of neutral ending. And Alex O'Neill on Twitter, he implored me, hey, do the pacifist ending. And I played through the game again.
The irrational pacifist ending?
I played through the pacifist way, and that ending, I had not cried harder than I've ever cried before. What is this?
I forgot to put that up. Henry told me to bring it for this.
7, did you see that?
I have not cried harder ever. I'm not talking about just video games. Like, I have not cried harder than watching the ending of that game.
I have no idea.
It hits home, and the one
so that while that whole speech was happening, it zooms in on Miggy's face.
the one thing I'll say, and I don't want to spoil too much, it's a lot. That ending is a lot about letting go of a friend, and that hit home really hard for me because I let go of a friend too soon who had cancer when she was really young, and it rushed back all of those memories. And I remember I played through it. It was like 11 at night, and Alyssa, like, I was crying so hard, like, Alyssa woke up and she was like, "Didn't you just beat this game last night?" I was like, "No, it's a different ending. You don't understand." And that
No, the game beat me.
that is definitely like, and that's the thing is, like, I love that game so much. Like, I'm willing to play it on a computer, and like, I hate computer controls, So if you can get me to play a game on a fucking computer, like, you've done something special with your game. So, Undertale, fucking play it. My number 6 is a game that I did not expect to be on my top 10, and when I really thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense,
It's
actually.
Sonic 2. He's been hiding his real feelings the whole time.
Red Dead Redemption. And I didn't think about this because I've only played through it once, and I remember I borrowed it from Max Cole, I believe.
I thought you borrowed it from me.
Did I borrow it from you?
You might have,
No,
but
that
I
was like my sophomore year of high school, and I didn't know you yet.
Oh, I think it was Roger who borrowed it from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I borrowed it, I believe, from our friend Max Cole, and yeah, I only played through it once, but I played that entire fucking game, and just like how, again, I love games that are immersive. I've been saying that word a lot today, and that was something that, like, I'm not like super into like cowboys and shit, but that game I was like, holy shit, cowboys are fucking cool, and
At least he
just
is.
like all of the decisions that you can make in that game, of finding, like, have people wanting your help, and then like maybe like in the middle of like helping them out, you realize they're the fucked up person in like whatever side quest that you're doing,
really-
and you got to make the decision of like, what the fuck do I do here? And it really pulled at your morals, especially, and that's a great setting to have a game pull at your morals, because it was such like a lawless place. And
Yeah, you really get the sense of like the word the like phrase Wild West.
yeah,
You get a real grasp of the phrase Wild Wild West.
and then the ending, like, spoilers for Red Dead Redemption, like, I always like the first game that ever did that to me, of like, you play as this character, and then for the most of the game, and then your character fucking dies, was Chrono Trigger. And that game taught me like what games could fucking be, and I was like, oh my god. And I didn't really experience that again until Red Dead Redemption. Like, I didn't like have this feeling of as a kid of like, holy shit, this is what games could be, until I played this in high school, and I was like, holy fuck.
It's also super fun where like you play it one time all the way through normal, then you play it again, every cheat activated, and it is like, oh my god, it's like a whole nother
gameplay
game.
is so
Like,
fucking satisfying.
what are the
of,
cheats
like,
in
the
that
slow-mo fucking like aiming,
Typical like GTA cheats, like,
Big head.
big head, different
unlimited
like,
ammo,
unlimited ammo,
all
unlimited
weapons.
health.
I miss like cheats in
unlimited
big games.
unlimited like horse stamina and shit.
Did you say
but-
horse stamina? Stamina?
Stamina, yeah.
Stamina?
Yeah,
okay.
because like you have to like.
but also the
do it a certain
gameplay
way.
of,
You said
like,
horse stamina.
be like be riding on your horse, and like other people chasing you, and like slowing down and doing like this special like slow-mo like gun.
Oh.
It was just such a satisfying game, and I just remember, and like just thinking about playing through that game like brings back like nice memories. I lived in Alameda at the time, and I remember I played it through like the spring, and it was like nice, and like I would have like the door open, and it was like a nice like spring day in Alameda, and like playing that game, and it was just, I am very surprised how much, like, looking back, how much I really love that game. And the ending is like, and going and after he gets killed, playing as his son, and you don't really like, the game doesn't really tell you, but there is another ending where you can keep going on and fucking shit up, and like going back for the people who was like responsible.
Yeah,
for
like you play as the
death.
son, and there's like nothing on the map or anything. You just
Like,
need
you
to
have to fucking like know where to
figure it
look. So that was just, I was very surprised, like, looking back, how much I love that game.
Did you ever play Gun?
No,
Did you ever play Sword?
But you know what I'm talking about.
I know the game.
Like
yeah.
the two revolvers. That game was because I never played the.
I
Red
remember
Dead
watching a
Redemption
Let's Play
before
of that game.
Red Dead Revolver. Never played it.
I remember watching a Let's Play of Gun, and it looked awful.
Yeah, it really was. It was like I remember playing that and being like, "Oh, this game's so awesome," and then playing Red Dead Redemption and going, "That game sucked."
Number 5.
The only good cowboy game is Wild Arms in the arcade.
Number 5, BioShock Infinite. Again, I know I'm in the unpopular opinion about like the BioShock games, and I'm not saying like Infinite is a better game than
He straight up
It's
says
good for
Bioshock
different
2 is the
reasons.
best one.
BioShock 2 is the best in the series.
It's good for different reasons.
Yeah, and a lot of people give
It's a
shit.
different
And again, a lot of revisionist history on this game because I remember when this game first came out and people were like, "Holy fuck, that ending was so cool," and then people are looking back like, "Oh man, that ending was so fucking."
I remember
lame."
months and months of reading Game Informer and them advertising it all to hell, and I had no idea when the fuck it was going to come out already. I was like, let's go, let's fucking do this
And
shit.
that was another game where I first played it actually on a computer, and like I was like really into it. And I kind of
At Vinny's, right?
at our friend Vinny's, and I was finally able to buy it for.
We're on the roof getting
I was like finally able to buy it for the 360, and I was so in love with that environment. Yeah, I definitely appreciate like the environment Rapture captures, and sort of like this. What happened here? Like, what happened to this city that looks like it would have done so well? Like, what the fuck was going on? And I think I just love the reveal of what's going on in Colombia better. Because at first it looks like, oh, this is a really great place and it's so lovely. And it's got this, like, 1920s vibe to it a little bit.
1940s, I think.
40s seems a little late to me.
30s.
It was like 20s, 30s, definitely. And it was like, it felt like really nice and like, wow, like I can't believe like a BioShock game would be here, right? And then you slowly learn all of the fucked up things about this city. And it was just a slow like reveal of the fucked up things in society. And I think that's a very great reflection of what America is now.
I like the hints to like somewhat religious aspect of it.
Yeah,
That was, like, super
and
fucked
I
up.
think, and that's why I love it, because it is very, like, a lot of people point at GTA 5 of being, like, the best satire video game of America, but in honesty, like, I think it's BioShock Infinite, because you see, like, all of the, like, racist shit that goes on, and sort of, like, the need for religion in that society, and you're like, haha, that's so silly, and then you look at our fucking country, and you're like, holy fuck, we live here. Like,
Yeah.
this is, like, we basically live in Colombia.
Yep.
You know about the you win the raffle, throw a rock at the sinners.
Yeah, but you know what? There's still a lot of racism going on, and it's very hidden away, and it's sad and it's fucked up. And like, in regards to the twist at the end, I really enjoyed it. I wish that the one thing I have about it, I wish they did like sort of give more clues about it throughout the game. It sort of felt like they knew the whole time, and then they forgot to like add clues, and then they're like, oh fuck, we got to push this all into like the end of the game.
I think the thing was that like people were expecting a twist for the whole game, so like by the time they got there, people were just kind of like, it wasn't what I was
But you know
expecting.
what? I think
and
it's
it's
a
just
good-
like
I
it's still
think-
good though.
I think it's a good
It's just
twist
you
of like
built up
this
the hype
entire.
so much.
Have you played the game yet?
Of course.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck you've played. Spoilers for.
I have a list online.
Spoilers for Infinite. Like you're sort of playing through this game, and you're like, oh, she could be like my love interest, and then you learn it's like, oh, she's my daughter.
Bro, she could still be a love interest.
If you keep it on the down low.
Keep it on the
And,
DS,
and that's another game where at the end, like all of the different versions of Elizabeth come and fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Like straight up fucking drown you and choke you out and you die. And I understand it was a lot to push at the end, but I was still along for the ride and I was still like really into it. And I bought it. So like I bought
That's,
what
like,
they were doing. So
that's a big
yeah,
thing.
I really love Infinite. My number 4, Portal 2. Portal 2 is another game that I never owned myself. That was another game where I loved it so much I would play it on PC and I would deal with fucking dumb PC controls. And that was another game, played the entire thing at Vinny's. And Portal 1 was definitely another game where I think they were like, here is what this game could be. Like here, this is like a test run, you know? And very short, you could beat it in like an hour if you know what you're doing. and
everyone
the gameplay felt like smooth, and Portal 2 didn't improve on gameplay because I think the gameplay itself was like already really fucking great, but they added different elements of like all of the different gels, and they added more of a story to it as well. Wheatley is such a fucking like charming villain because he's so fucking dumb, and like like he ends up being the main villain, and then also like teaming up with Gladys and being like friends with her, and just like the dialogue in that game is so fucking funny. It's like, how are you doing? Oh, well, guess what? I am a potato. And it's just like the sassiness of Gladys and the dumb shit that comes out of Wheatley's mouth. And the ending of that game was another game that like at the end I didn't cry as hard as I did in the ending of Undertale, but it was just like
cry.
It was very emotional of like the time we had spent in the first two games and leaving. You're like, holy fuck, like, I'm leaving. And that's why I don't think they should ever do a Portal 3. And people are begging for Portal 3. It's like, no, like, that's the end. Like, where do you go from there?
It is.
And I think it's the perfect ending. And and going up the fucking elevator and then you being in the little shack and then the door opening and it's just the world. And you're like, holy fuck. Yeah. It's just, that game, I think, is the best sequel game ever. And also you have who's the CEO of Aperture?
Cave Johnson.
But who voices him? J. Jonah Jameson.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons voices the fucking CEO of Aperture.
J.K. Simmons keeps showing up.
And I remember like playing through that, and I was like, is that J.K. Simmons? And I looked it up, and it was. I was like, holy fuck, that's really cool. And it's like going through his story and learning about his story of like being in the depths of Aperture and like learning about all the old stuff that would happen in Aperture, and like learning that Gladys is like the memories and like sort of personality of Gladys is the assistant of the CEO of Aperture. And
he invented portals because he was tired of people rushing or dragging.
And he was also like. Apparently, like going through portals, like heals you from like cancer from like the white gel. Apparently, like the white gel like causes cancer, but if you go through portals, it like helps like the effects on that and whatnot. And like going through like sort of his story, and then like realizing that like he was dying, and it was like really sad. And that was just like another really really great immersive story and
Portal,
really fun gameplay.
Portal is so weirdly excellent. They even gave a reason for why bullets don't immediately kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've seen that thing online, right?
Yeah, I have.
Have you seen it, Ricky?
Nope.
It's this thing where it's the turret. They decided, like, let's keep the bullets should get shot out with the casing so that you have 35% more bullet.
My number 3, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Figured
And
Zelda
Ocarina of Takarina.
I was thinking I gave a lot of shit to Ocarina of Time last year when we did this top 10, and I was really thinking about it, and I was like, this is the game that I've spent the most time with, and that I really enjoyed the most. Except, I think the two downsides this game has are both of the water dungeons, but it's another game where you feel like there's more of a world going on in your little sort of story. You know, I feel like there's more world beyond Hyrule, and the very little games I feel like have that effect on me. And learning about all the characters and learning about the different towns and the Gorons, and learning about the girl who basically gives you Ponyta later on, and seeing like all of the great things that...
You mean Epona? Because Ponyta's a Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
I like when you said it, I imagined Ponyta, but I was just like, that makes sense.
Yeah, you got yourself a flaming Pokemon.
Sorry.
If when you age up, you get a Rapidash.
No, dude, have Pokemons wherever you want Pokemons.
That's my philosophy.
Well, no, but like also being a kid and everything's fucking great, and I also think this is a great reflection on life itself of being a kid and everything is great and everything is fine and dandy. And yeah, there are some like weird things going on, and you speculate as a kid, and then you fucking grow up like you wake up 11 years later and everything is shit. And that's very much like, oh, when you're a kid, everything's fucking fine and dandy. And then when you're an adult, you're like, holy shit, life sucks. And being able to go like
Eiffel Tower.
grow up as Link and go out into the town, the Hyrule town for the first time, like as older Link, and you're like, holy fuck, what happened here? Everything, we used to be so happy, and and you wanted
What
and
happened to
that
us,
is-
Margaret?
And that in itself like made you want to like, all right, I gotta like bring the like, I gotta fight for this, right? I want to see people dancing around and dogs running around and shit here again. Like I want to see that again, and I just remember the ending being so fucking satisfying of seeing like all the people like celebrating in their different towns, and the boss fight I think is also very satisfying.
Ganondorf or Ganon?
Both of them. I
Hit
really
Return of the Jedi ending music.
I really enjoyed both of them, and I remember being a little kid and like I was like, "Fuck, I suck at this," and then growing up, and then finally like knowing like how to fight Ganon and or Ganondorf, I should say, and then you think it's done, and like the castle's collapsing and all this stuff, and you're like, "Oh my god, like I beat him, it's over," and then you leave the castle and it's like, nope, here I am Ganon. And it was like, holy shit, this
Even
is
for someone who
terrifying.
hasn't played Zelda, Ganondorf sounds like the most annoying person in the world.
I'm Ganondorf.
Yeah, I just...
Ganondorf, more like Ganondork. That's actually how you defeat him in the game.
I probably haven't...
He's like, oh, fuck.
I've spent a lot of time in that world, and I go back to it every once in a while. I was playing it like a month or two ago, and then Ratchet and Clank came out, and I was like on the water dungeon as a kid, and I was like, fuck, I really hate this. But despite the water levels, I still really love it, and there are a lot of memorable moments of seeing Saria as an adult, and like it was basically re-meeting, like sort of like meeting everyone for the first time again as adults, and seeing like them in this world that's really fucked up, and you feel really guilty about that, and then like learning that Sheik is fucking Zelda. And,
Spoilers.
spoilers for a game that came out, what was that, 98? I want to say.
Yeah, probably.
So that was 18. Jesus Christ, that was 18 years ago.
Also, I want to say they actually fixed what made the water dungeon the most annoying in the 3DS version.
Oh, really?
And actually, Zelda is Iron Sheik.
Well, no, like,
And Link's a jabroni.
That was like such a cool reveal of like she wasn't the fucking damsel in distress, and that was like a really, I think that
Lying
no.
ass.
Well, no, I just think that I think that's really cool. Of like a lot of the Zelda games and a lot of games before that was very much like you got to save the girl, you got to save the princess, you know. And that was the first time. I think it's an underappreciated moment of like, no, Zelda is fucking like she is fucking surviving and fighting for the fighting for Hyrule to come back, you know.
Feminism.
And I think that I think that's but I think it's necessary feminism, not fucking crazy like
It's a good.
no
So
more
how
men
they-
in video games.
So how they fixed the water temple was now instead of you having to go all the way into the menu, flip over, and then switch your boots, now it's all on the bottom screen.
That's true. That is true. I remember playing the 3DS version when I had it. Very fun.
And that was the worst part about the water temple.
Yeah.
Still not a good dungeon. But
Yeah. My number 2, Donkey Kong 64. No, what?
No. I just expected it to be your number one. That's why.
I expected it to be my number 1 as well, but my number 1 I think makes the most sense. But before I get to that, Donkey Kong 64, and I'll say this time and time and again, I think a lot of people complain like, oh, it's just too many collectibles and blah 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 blah.
That's the point.
But that is the point, and I think
man's
that's
game.
one of the most ingenious like the way that you have to like discover that like, oh, these collectibles are fucking necessary to like continue on in the game, and I know that can be tedious to an extent, but you know, like you can still the golden bananas are like you have to collect these. And like the regular bananas, you have to collect them to fight the bosses. But the genius about that are the blueprints. You don't have to collect those blueprints, but they are very necessary because if you collect no blueprints, there's one level where you have to destroy this machine, and that's what the blueprints are, is a blueprint of this machine you have to destroy. If you don't collect any, you have a timer of about 8 minutes to do the entire level. But if you collect all of them, you get like an hour and 20 minutes. And that was like the cool like fucking thing to discover. It was like, oh, that was the fucking point of them. And it was possible.
20 minutes.
It was possible to
Huh?
beat that level in 8 minutes. Like I believe my dad has done it before. Like he was able to like not collect any and
Immediately dunked the Nintendo 64.
That's how you
and
beat it.
like the way you learn about like all of there are really frustrating moments in those games. A lot of the races you have with the fucking weird bug dude and
I agree, most races are annoying.
Yeah. Ricky. But it was just like all of the levels, most of the levels were really, really fucking cool. Again, except for the water level. And not even because it was a water level, it was just everything, the way they designed it, everything felt way too spaced out. Of like, oh, I gotta go back and forth and back and forth. And a lot of the other levels don't really do that. And it was just, it's very charming. And the final boss fight, I think, is just like really, really fun because you finally get to bring in all of these powers and abilities together to fight K. Rool at the very end. And it's such a satisfying game. It's a charming game. And I highly recommend if you're one of the 10 people who own a Wii U and you have not played Donkey Kong 64, pick it up. I highly recommend it. So, Donkey Kong 64, number 2. My number 1, my favorite game of all time.
Sonic.
50-cent bulletproof.
Blood on the
Batman
sand.
Arkham City.
Yeah.
Scooby.
Like I've said before, Arkham Asylum was the game that got me back into video games.
I like how we booted Last of Us. Both of us like booted the
Last
shit
of Us
out
was
of Last of Us.
Last of Us ended up being like mid-20s for me. Arkham City improves, I think, every way of like what Arkham Asylum like was, and I understand like the environment and the weirdness of Arkham Asylum was definitely missing in Arkham City, but I think a lot of the things that needed to be improved for the series was, and like I remember playing Asylum, I was like, wow, this like these fighting mechanics and this fighting system is really great, and then in City it's like, holy shit, like Asylum has nothing on the fucking like fighting mechanics in this one, right? And just the way the game fucking opens, where you're being tortured by fucking
Penguin.
Not Penguin, but the very, very beginning, where like the title comes open, and you're being tortured by Doctor Strange, and you realize like
You're being tortured by Doctor Strange. It's just Benedict Cumberbatch. Who has the better movies? Who has the better movies?
and you realize that he knows you're fucking Batman, and you're like, holy shit, and you start out as Bruce Wayne, and that was such an ingenious moment of like, you're constrained as Bruce Wayne for like the first 10 minutes, and then when you get into the fucking bat suit, you're like, I am fucking Batman. Holy shit. And
Punches a little kid.
like
Batman!
Says those exact words.
I love Arkham Asylum. I love Arkham Asylum, but never in that game was like, I'm Batman. But I think City, was a great way
there's no
of,
kids
like,
to punch on Arkham Asylum.
I think City was great of like they constrain you as a Bruce Wayne in the very beginning, and then you get to be Batman, and that's like the turning point of like, holy fuck, I'm Batman. And all of like, I think it was a perfect size of like open world sort of linear kind of game, you know. It was big enough to like, it wasn't too big that like it turns me off to like looking around, but it was like the right size of like, I do want to explore and see what's going on. It's like happening to find crime alley, and so you're fucking like, there's like a memorial for your parents there, and at one point in the story of the game you get a message from Alfred, and it's he's like, oh, we made a cure for the
He's like,
for
oh,
the
we.
We hangs up.
we made a cure for the blood that the Joker injected you with, and then you go and it's fucking Mad Hatter out of fucking nowhere. There's all
yeah.
of these great fucking
Yeah.
moments, and that game is such a huge fan service, I think, of like all of the characters they were able to fit into this and not force into it, you know?
That that Mad Hatter part was definitely a lot better than the Mad Hatter part in Origins, where it just felt like really wrong
And really rapey.
Yeah, like
This
is gross.
Mad Hatter in City is when you're with Vicky at first,
Yeah,
and then
you're
like
with
Alfred.
Vicky Vale, and then like it's right after that you get the message, and then also like decrypting like what Azrael is trying to tell you, and like finding Azrael at the end, and he's like, dark times are coming, and that was the moment when I finally like
found all of the places he was like supposed to be in, and finally like
You see him on the Ferris wheel.
yeah, and
I still need to do that.
and then he gives you like the message like dark times are coming, and that was the moment I knew. I was like, I thought it was just gonna be like Arkham City and that was it. But when we met Azrael, I was like, no, they're planning something. They're planning something, guys. And like that anticipation felt so awesome. And
Dark times are
the
coming.
one
You're gonna need a
downside to
tank.
this game, this one downside is that there are way too many fucking Riddler things to do, and that was
Too many Riddler diddlers.
And
I
that
still
was
have never finished them.
I did it once. And I was like, all right, fucking done.
Never doing it again.
And I think like Arkham Knight and Arkham Asylum sort of improved on that because weirdly enough, they have the same Asylum and City and Knight have the same amount of trophies, but Knight is like a way bigger game.
Yeah.
So they're just like a little more spread out and I think they each have about 200 Riddler trophies. City, it's like 450 fucking Riddler things to do. And it's like, oh my god.
No one wants to be riddled by that diddle.
And then also just like, I know I complain a lot about like, you think the game is going to be majorly about like Protocol 10 and finding out like how to take down Strange, but then like it gets pushed to the side and then it turns into like this Joker thing. But looking back, like the story, like the first time playing it, and even going back to it and playing it, I really fucking love it. And like the great moments of Dr. Or Mr. Freeze like turning on you, and you're like, oh fuck, oh no, and I honestly still think that is the best boss fight in the series. A lot of people are gonna say Deathstroke, but it's like you fucking just
Boss fight was stupid.
Deathstroke. You fucking press triangle a lot and
It's cool 'cause
press
it's
square.
Deathstroke.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
cool, but because it's Deathstroke. There's no thinking in that boss fight
Yeah.
though. And in Freeze, it's like Oracle sends me like the ways I can take down Freeze, and it's only in the very easy mode where she actually sends you the fucking ways to take down Freeze. If you don't play easy, you have to figure it out yourself because like the regular things are fucking frozen. So you have to look at the environment and be like, how do I turn this against him?
That's a really great boss fight.
It's
Yeah.
the best boss fight, I think, and just like the twist at the end of like the most of the time it's been Clayface, and the clues they have throughout the entire game that he's Clayface.
Yeah.
The Clayface is playing Joker.
Detective
and then
vision
the
part.
detective vision, where like when he has Talia outside of the theater and you do detective vision, he doesn't have any bones, and that's just it was so ingenious. And then the ending, the fucking ending, Talia dies, which was like really fucking sad. And that was something that was like, oh my god, I did not think that they were gonna go that like do that.
Yeah.
And then the fucking Joker dies, and you're just like.
You
I
just see
remember that
Seven
ending-
pop in, bruh.
I remember the ending, and I was just I was speechless at that ending. And like that's the sad thing of like Arkham Knight. Like Arkham Knight at the end did not have me speechless. It had me asking a lot of questions and reasons. I still love Arkham Knight. A lot of people hating on that game, but I still love it because it's part of the Arkham universe. But City, just like fucking A.
City. You just
So those are my top 10 video games.
It's a good list.
And I think I think throughout the years, if we ever go back to this topic, I think whatever my list is, like in the coming years, I think it'll be closer to this list. I don't think this list will ever change that much because I was more, I did a lot more research this time around.
later on he gets like super into Doki Doki Panic.